Hi, this is Rachel Friedman, and you are listening to The Wellness Boss. Look, the entry bar in the coaching industry is really low. So to compete in the coaching industry, you have to be really fucking good at your craft. That's why every week I will be sharing my tips, tools, and stories to help you become the best coach possible for your clients. Truthfully, guys, let's be real. This is the backbone of your business, and it's what's going to make you a sought-after coach with a thriving business. So let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Wellness Boss. So I am here today with Tyson Bradley, and I am honored and excited to have him on the podcast. Tyson was actually the MC at the Life Coach School Mastermind this past year, which was crazy fun event, but it's kind of one of those things when you're like the coach in the audience and there was like, I don't know how many thousand people, 2,000-3,000 people there, probably Tyson actually knows. And then you have this person up on the stage who's like making the jokes and bringing everyone. They kind of develop, I don't know if you know this, Tyson, a little bit of like celebrity status. And so right now it's like, ooh, I have celebrity status on my podcast. So anyways, Tyson, I know Tyson worked for the Life Coach School for a little bit, and now he has his own business, and I think he's worked in a couple different arenas, and really a lot of what he focuses on now is habit changing, and we're going to talk about that today, which is pretty fun. I think he might even take me through it, which is even more fun for me because I wasn't quite expecting that, but I love the fly by your seat of your pants type stuff. So Tyson, before we get into it all, tell them just a little bit about you, where you are. Tell them about those adorable girls that are trying to distract you right now.
Okay, so what you guys don't know about me is that I have two redheaded girls. One is 7, one is 4, and they're playing in the front yard. And I have a window that looks out, and I showed Rachel a view of them because they were knocking on the window trying to distract me with their gorgeous little faces. And also that you don't know is that my wife and I are actually expecting our first boy in December. We just found out, so you guys will all get to know a little bit more about Tyson. So that is super fun, and I love being a dad, and it's also very frustrating being a dad and frustrating being a mom. I was just, I'm writing a book right now. It's called Discover Your Inherent Identity, a simple and effective way to create change and make it last, or create habits and make it last. And it's interesting because I was just writing some of my book this morning, and I don't know how many of you have the experience where your kids, at least when they're younger, you get to control their bedtime. And the one thing that you want to do most by the end of the day is get them to bed so that you can do your own thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, to experience that, and there was a time where I just thought, oh man, I reflected on how I acted in the night trying to get them to bed, because when you're frustrated, you're just like, just go to bed. I don't want to see you anymore. It's like, I want to do my own thing, and you're not going to bed. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do. It's like all those thoughts we know create some frustration, and we don't act the best when we're frustrated. And to me, in that moment, I was just like being short and sweet, not so sweet, get to bed, and so that I can do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as I reflected on it, I was like, man, that's not who I want to be. That's not the person. That's not the dad. That's not the parent that I want to be. I don't want my kids to go to bed having experienced a parent that doesn't want to be with them. Because sometimes what we experience, like on the wake up on the other end of this, it's like, if you can imagine, okay, you end your day with your parent, being frustrated with you and not wanting to be with you. And then you wake up and your parents' first thing you see, is it going to be a positive experience? not as much. And so it's like, it's these kinds of experience that I have attuned to and that I have felt and that I've seen that have, I guess, helped me to realize what I want to change. And I think for everybody, and for all of you on this, on this podcast and listening, you guys want to build businesses. You guys want to improve in your coaching. You guys want to be wellness warriors, people taking care of yourselves, improving every aspect of your life. That's me. That's me too. I love it all. I've helped plenty of people when doing these things. And what I'm going to share with you is probably the process that I have seen create the fastest and most effortless change I've ever experienced. And so I'm hoping that you guys are willing to listen to the end, because this is really good stuff. And all the clients that I'm sharing this with, they're experiencing really fast changes and with things that have been a struggle for them forever. So if it is about parenting, if it is about health, if it is about business building, whatever it is scary and hard for you, this can work. So I don't know, Rachel, are you okay if we dive in? What do you think? You okay with that?
Let's do it. I get to be the client.
You get to be the client. So let's the process fits within the acronym I am me.
Okay.
And so the first letter is I, and it stands for ideal. And so what we want to do is we want to understand what is the ideal for you with whatever you're trying to work on. So Rachel, what is something that you're trying to work on that's not as fun that you wish was more ideal?
Great question. What do I wish that was more ideal? I think that I wish that as my business is growing, and this is going to sound a little maybe odd, but as it's growing and actually I'm having more time than I ever had before, like understanding how to be with that time. I'm one of those people that have been working my ass off. By the way, I curse, so you can curse if you need to. I've been working my ass off for as long as I can remember, right? Like always working to achieve. And I was never like the naturally gifted child. I did very well because I worked my butt off. And it's kind of been a part of who I am. And now as my business is doing fantastic, which is wonderful, and I'm actually doing less one-on-one clients and pretty much focus mostly on just my group, I have way more time. And I find myself sometimes filling that what's supposed to be relaxing time with more stuff, more work, because I think my body, my mind has not adjusted to it, if that makes sense. So in my ideal world, I would keep my business growing as wonderfully and beautifully as it is, but also learn how to enjoy that time in personal space, if that makes sense, more.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to let go of some of the hustle.
Yes.
You want to enjoy. So, and I've experienced, I'm very much a go kind of person as well. Learned how to work and hustle. And for some people to be able to have say an hour of time and for you to just allow yourself not to do anything with that time is like the most painful thing in the world. And so in terms of your ideal, is there anything else that's like, okay, I just want to enjoy space and not have to rush into action?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, like not like, because even I'll fill it with like, I'm a big meditator, so I'll fill it with, which a lot of people are like, yeah, but when you're meditating, you're kind of doing nothing, but it's still with the intention of doing something, if that makes sense. Like even if you're filling that space with meditation, it's coming from the idea that something productive has to be happening pretty much unless you're sleeping.
Right. The purpose of my meditation is so that I can increase my business. is so that I
Yeah.
can like change myself or like, do something
Yeah, or just
with
be
the
more,
meditation.
be calmer, more grounded, more centered. But there is an
Okay.
intention when you meditate, technically. Well, not
Yeah.
everyone. For
Yeah.
me, there is.
Okay. So the next letter I think is going to help us because the next letter in I am me is A, which stands for amplify. And what we want to do, because here's the thing, Rachel, we're like really bad at dreaming. And so built into this process is the requirement that you have to like 10x your dream, expand it, make it bigger, make it more grand, make it more amazing. So if we just take the ideal of enjoy space without rushing into action,
Mm-hmm.
what would make this over the moon amazing? How would we amplify this ideal?
No. I know I'm not allowed to say that. At least that's what I tell my clients. Not allowed to answer. I don't know. Um, what would amplify it?
It's like, what would 10x a enjoying the space? So, for example, it's like I have an hour, I have 2 hours every day where I just sit and I love it and I experience and I whatever I feel like I want to do, I just do. I go and do something fun. I go on a hike. I go and do something enjoyable. It's like, is that what you're trying to experience? What would make that more grand?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
What
I
do you
think it's a
think?
little bit of like, having that space to hours to just, if I feel like doing a yoga class, do a yoga class. If I feel like watching a show on Netflix, watching a show on Netflix. And there's no guilt or shame or any of it that comes with it. Like yeah, it's just okay. It's not cheating, right? It's not like you're not working hard by doing these things.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So it's now all of a sudden, the more we clarify this ideal, the more we like amplify it. Now all of a sudden it just becomes something more grand. It's like I'm able to show up to my empty space and I watch Netflix and I love myself all the while.
Yes.
And I feel refreshed and I just feel amazing being me wherever I am, no matter how much time I have, no matter what I'm doing with my time.
Yeah.
Would that be a more amplified version of your ideal?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Now, for anyone listening, it's like you take your own. Yeah, what's my ideal for my business? Well, I want to have this. It's like, what's the amplified ideal? Well, I'd like 10 times more results or 10 times the experience. How can we just make it bigger and more grand? Now, the next letter is movement. Okay. Now, movement is all about what actions would create this amplified idea. What actions would create this result? So if you were to think of, okay, what do I need to do? Or what are the things that if I did them would create this kind of relaxation and this lovely experience with my free time?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to something I've been working on, and it's really trusting that it's not all the action that creates the results. Because I think there's a little bit of fear under there that if you stop all the working hard, that then the momentum, the business will slow down, and then that will not get me closer to my other goals, which are, obviously grow my business, not obviously, but for me, grow my business, serve more people. So I think there's a level of trust that still is I'm working on, but even strengthening more.
Yeah. What else?
I mean, some of it would be as simple as just like scheduling it into the day. Like,
Yeah.
like not actually putting on every hour like a to-do or like, an action item, like leave an open space that says do nothing.
Yes. Yeah. And it is important.
And it
I'm
sounds
glad that
funny,
you're
but it's,
right. there are sports coaches and psychologists that teach about how you must, like, in order to be a peak performer, it's like there must be rest.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot keep working out and be an Olympian. And as weird as that might sound, it's like, wait, but I thought that was the thing. Like, we just gotta hustle. It's like, no, it's like there has to be rest, because that's what helps the body to rejuvenate and to build muscle and to do all these other things that it needs to do. Same thing goes with your mind. You can't keep hustling. It's like, so you have trusting, and you have to actually, like, okay, even the little things of planning it on the calendar, do nothing.
Yeah.
Watch Netflix, like, put that on the calendar.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we'll just go with that.
I don't want my audience to think I'm one of those. I mean, not that it matters, not that, but I do watch.
It's a good example. I think this is a common saying, whatever's fun for you, right?
Yeah.
All right. So the next M, so we have I am and then me. So for the M, we have manifesto. Now, a manifesto is like, okay, this is like a declaration. This is like who I am. And a lot of people, well, they'll talk about the concept of have, if I have, do, and then be, versus be, do, have. Mm-hmm. So have, do, be is saying, if I have more clients, then I would do more things, and then I'd be successful. Versus, no, I need to be the successful coach so that I can do the things that a successful coach would do, and then I would have the business that I want. And people talk about that as a concept. They talk about stepping into being someone and identity as being important, but there's no one really sharing, how do you do that? Like, how do you change your identity?
Yeah.
And besides using mindset and just saying, okay, if we just consistently change one thought to another, then we become someone new. It's like, there is that. And I think that there's something behind what's like going on behind the scenes of even thoughts and feelings that I would just describe as being like spiritual. There's just like, okay, we have our head that's trying to analyze and use all these cool tools that we've learned. And then there's our heart that actually knows and is connected with who we really are and has all the power and ability to create what we want to create.
Yes. 100%.
And the way and the language that we can put towards these manifestos, these statements, it starts with like, I am. Okay. We've heard about this, like affirmations, but this is the very specific type of affirmations that is connected to your ideals and your dreams, which are very heart-based versus head-based, and are connected to the exact actions that would enable you to get to those dreams. So we take what we've done with the ideal and the amplified ideal and the movement, the actions needed, and then we use those elements to create an I am statement. And the important part of this piece is that we use words that resonate with us. And I find it most helpful when we can focus on, I find it easier to focus on the action or using the action as the thing to be able to build a statement around. And I'll just give you an example for me of how this applied for me, because it will give it some, I guess, some meat to it. So I struggled for the longest time with eating sweets. I grew up in a family where we always had a vanilla tub of ice cream in the freezer, Oreos in the pantry, cookies in the fridge. Grew up after lunch and dinner, it's like grab a cookie, and after dinner have ice cream and sweets. And so my tongue, my body were trained to eat goodness after meals. and then I got married, and my wife and I, it's like we had cake and ice cream after dinner at the end of the day, like every day. It was amazing. And then I discovered that as I kept doing that, it was harder to sleep. I'd be all congested. I didn't feel as good, didn't have as much energy, and I wanted energy. So I struggled. And then I found coaching, I found self-help. I've been in the self-help industry for like 10 to 12 years, applying different tools, trying to change my thoughts. That didn't work. Trying to feel my emotions, like feel the urge and then don't act on it. Yeah, okay, that didn't work. It's like, it's really hard. It doesn't jive with me. I'm not finding success with that. Okay, habit books, they'll talk about change your environment. Okay, just get rid of the sweets. Like, just don't buy anymore, and then they're not around and you can't choose it. Well, that's hard because I have a wife that likes them, and I can't choose for her to not do it. So, and I don't want to. That's not part of my ideal, is I want her to be her and want me to be me. So I couldn't do that. And so all these external things, as well as these like formulas for trying to change, didn't work for me. So it's like, great. Okay, now what do I do? And as I learned some of this like idea of like being and changing my identity and focusing on an identity, that's when the idea came to create this statement. And as I noodled on it, I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to be something I could remember. And so it dawned on me, just like came to me, that it's like, what do I want to do? What's my ideal? Well, my ideal is that I just don't have this urge after a meal, and that I don't eat a sweet thing after I eat a savory thing. And so
People do that, Tyson? They
people
don't eat
do that?
sweets after.
I know, right? So the statement I came up with is like, I am a sugar shunner. I say no to sweets. Okay. Now, I love the alliteration, helps to make it more memorable, and it makes it fun because as I imagine being a sugar shunner, it's just like, no, it's like, I shun you, sweets, I shun you, sugar, like, get away, like, you're not a part of me, that's not who I am. And so I created this statement, and it's important because there's this element of I am, and then what do I do? Mm-hmm. So I am a sugar shunner, I say no to sweets. And that combination is important because every time I say no to sweets, I reinforce who I am. I reinforce the identity, and I can celebrate that. So I remember going to eat lunch, having like a quesadilla salsa. It's like, man, that's really savory. That's really like salty. And then I walk into the pantry, which was my norm. Like, walk into the pantry and get something sweet. And, one of the habits was just like grab like a fruit leather. Like, that's even that. It's like, it's not that much sugar. It's like natural, organic, whatever, you can name it what you want. I didn't want to have it. Like, truly, my ideal was to not have a life where I had to eat something sweet. And it's important that it's like, I classify it as like, this was my ideal. Like, sure. I knew in my heart, I had struggled with this for a long time. For some reason, this was what I wanted. Other people don't want that. My wife is one of them. She loves it. She loves sweets. It doesn't mind. And it doesn't affect her like it does me, but it does affect me, and I want it. So what was true to me was being a sugar shunner. And I remember saying that to me. It's like, oh, I'm a sugar shunner. I don't eat sweets. Like, I say no to sweets. Like, instant, effortless, urge gone. Like, there wasn't an urge because that's not who I am. And that's what was so fascinating to me. I was just like, wait, this is weird. What's going on? Started applying it in other areas of my life. Started applying it to being patient with my kids. It's like, huh. And I have a saying, and then and I have this statement that connects with who I really am and what I really want. And now it's easier to be with them. Use it on my business, use it when writing my book, use it with, all these areas of my life that I want to improve. And so if we were to take yours, as I'm looking at yours, and one of the actions that you want, it's like trusting that I don't need to take action in order to reach your goals. That's what I wrote down. So it's like and here's another example, because I think sometimes it doesn't have to be clever. Like,
It doesn't have to rhyme.
it doesn't have to rhyme. It's fun if it rhymes, fun if there's alliteration. And I know for my kids, like when they need to like clean up messes, I started telling them, I'm just like, it's okay if we make a mess. It's okay if we spill, because guess what? We are mess cleaners. We clean up messes. It was as simple as that. I just kept saying that. And then one day I go and my 4-year-old, she tips over the piano bench. All the books spill out because it has a little storage area. And it's okay. We're mess cleaners. And I'm just like, okay, this is cool. Now they're doing this and it's catching on, and it makes it so that if I make a mess, I'm not freaking out about it or complaining or crying about it. I'm just stepping into who I am and addressing the problem. And so it could just be like, I am a truster. Like it could be it's like, I'm a truster. I allow myself to take breaks knowing my business will grow. It could be, I am a playful planner. I plan fun things for me to do every day.
Like it.
Does that make sense?
100%.
What do you think as you hear all of it?
Yeah. I think I like the first one better because, like I said, I've been working a lot on. I mean, I have come a long way on building that self-trust muscle. I think it's kind of an evolving thing. I think we think we're there, and then all of a sudden something new pops up, and then we go back to work on it. I tell my clients that all the time too. But yeah, I'm a truster and I allow myself to take breaks. I mean, it's like giving yourself that permission slip.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and you can add new things. And the thing about this whole process and this point in the process of making this manifesto is that just try and create one. Yeah. And if it sounds fun to you, and if it feels good to you, and if you say to yourself, like, I am a truster, and it's just like, oh, like that hits a chord, it resonates, then we're getting somewhere. Yeah. If it doesn't quite mesh, you're just like, I don't know if I've quite captured exactly the ideal, then that's where you tweak it. And you might, and for me, it's like, I remember starting off with a statement that said, like, I am patient. I don't get frustrated with my kids. That did not work. Like, yeah, it did not help.
I'm not human.
Right. It was like, it didn't help. And then I reiterated it. And then it was like, and then one iteration was like, I am a calm connector. I breathe and ask, what would love do? And then it was like, that was a little bit better, but it still didn't capture everything they wanted. Then it's like, then I like read this parable and I was like, oh, that's a really cool parable about like this dad and his son and all these things. Like, that's what I want to do. And that's who I want to be. And so then I was just like, create a whole new one. It's like, I am prodigal papa. And it's like, I allow suffering, watch with love, and restore identity. And so it's like, it captures everything within like the parable of the prodigal son. If you guys have ever heard of that parable, something that Christ taught, but it's like, regardless, like it resonated with me and it helps me step into who I want to be and what I want to do. So when you do this, what's fun is that you'll start to notice, like, if it really resonates with you, it's easy to believe. And it's like a shortcut to all the brain drama that your brain wants to give you. It bypasses the chatter that your brain wants to give you in resistance to whatever you're trying to create, because we're not talking to the head, we're talking to the heart here. Sure. And we're connecting with that heart more so. It's almost like we're listening to the heart more than we are the head. And when we do that, we can step into who we really want to be faster and easier. So that's the manifesto step. You ready for the last one?
Absolutely.
Okay. Last one is Evoke. E for Evoke. And Evoke is all about reminding ourselves of our statement. It's like, and it's not just about saying a mantra, because I can repeat something and it can become a rote recitation that makes no impact on my life. But if I can say this statement, if I can say, I am a truster, I allow for myself to take breaks with ease. It's just like, I am a truster. And if I repeat that, but also evoke an emotion in the process, like really connect to the emotion of that statement as though it were true, because it is. And how do I know it's true? Well, it's because one, it resonates with you. And two, it's because it is your ideal. Who you want to be is who you already are. What you want to have is, and what needs to happen, like who do you need to be to create what you want? That's who you are already.
Yes. Amen.
Because otherwise, why would you have it?
You wouldn't have it. God, universe wouldn't give you those desires.
Exactly. Wouldn't give you those desires. You wouldn't have those dreams if it wasn't for a reason. And people might say, well, like everybody wants like awesome relationships. Everybody wants a mansion. And to that, I'd be like, yeah, that's what the world teaches. That's what the world teaches you should want. But my question would be, when it comes to your business, what do you really want? Like when you ask your heart, like, what do you really want in terms of the amount of money, in terms of the business that you want to create? Do you really want to have a full client load? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd just really, your heart just like wants to help people, like in 10 people a week versus 20. And that's your true desire. But it requires you, like, you will run into problems with this process and with creating these habits when you forget who you really are. So Evoke is about reminding yourself of who you really are daily and connecting with that, evoking the emotion of that. Because if you can repeat that and you can remind yourself, it's just like, oh yeah, this is who I really am. Then you can create the results much faster. And as I work with my clients, I was telling Rachel just yesterday, I was interviewing she's not even a client. She's just someone that I taught. And she took 10 minutes of what I said and she applied it. And she created this statement. She's like, I'm a 10-minute tidier. And she's like, I've had the hardest time cleaning my house because I've been so busy with my business, but I haven't had big chunks of time, but I know that I have 10 minutes. And so whenever I say to myself, I'm a 10-minute tidier, it's so easy for me to just clean up house. Where something was so burdensome for me to like go around and do things. Now it's easy, effortless, because who am I? Because I'm a 10-minute tidier. That's what I do. That's who I am. And so it's like she created this change, and then she created another change where she like had the hardest time with intermittent fasting. She wanted to do that. So she created this rhyme. She's just like, I eat a good mix from 10 until 6. Like she created this rhyme. I'm like, this is the coolest. She said, I am someone who eats a good mix from 10 until 6. And then she noticed that she like was on vacation and it was hard for her. And so she created this addition. She's like, it's also great from 12 until 8. Like,
I love it.
Right? I loved it too. Just like, what the heck? And she says that intermittent fasting, she's like, the moment that she created that, the moment that she stepped into that, who she really was, because that's something that she really wanted to be and do, it became easy because it was fun for her. It stuck it to her brain. And it also communicated what her heart was trying to. So it's a combination of this practical brain-based approach, but this heart-based feeling to connect with who we really are inside, this inherent identity that we have to create everything that we want to create. So I am me. Ideal, amplify, movement, manifesto, evoke. 5 steps to creating a habit and making it effortless and easy.
I love it.
What do you think, Rachel? Are you going to do it? Going to try it?
Totally going to do it. 100%.
Here's what we should do. You should try it. And then we should have a like follow-up podcast.
Well, actually I was going to say, started to do this thing. I haven't actually said it maybe I shouldn't. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen before this episode comes out. But I started doing this thing. So we could do a follow-up podcast, but I started doing this thing with people I interview that we do like an IG live the week that it goes out together, that like kind of gets people like enticed
Oh, nice.
And then we drop the podcast. So, but we can't drop them before we could do it after instead.
Well, if you apply this before it drops, then we could have an Instagram Live where we can share, okay, here's some cool things that happen for Rachel with this process that you're about to hear about. So you better check it out.
I like it. I like it. Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
As we're figuring out our plans on the podcast.
I know, right? Let's do it.
It's all good. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Totally going to do it. I am definitely on board. And I'd be curious to know what your I am statement is for your book, because I haven't told anyone but my husband and my children, but I signed up with a good friend to write a book, first book ever. And that didn't even come to my mind as something, I think, because there's a part of me that's still in denial that I decide I'm going to do this. So curious what your I am statement is for your book writing.
Yes. So my I am statement is I am a #1 New York Times bestselling author. I write as guided by the Spirit every day. And here's the thing, like, that is an amplified idea for me. To be a #1 New York Times bestselling author, like, that's the cream of the crop list that everybody wants to get on, and everyone wants to have that title on their book.
100%.
But the thing is, when I say that to myself, like, my heart like goes on fire, and I'm just like, yes, that's what I want.
That gave me a little bit of that jitters too.
Yeah. So that's how you know it's real and that it's possible, and you may as well just step into that identity and do the things a New York Times bestselling author would do. So that's what's really fun, is that it not only promotes just one action, but it promotes a being that does a lot of things. So I have had crazy cool miracles of just people coming into my life, people that have reached out to you that have said, yes, I can help you, and all in an effort to make this a reality. And so when I can tune into that identity of who I really am, that's where the magic happens. That's when I start receiving insight, intuition, universe sending me signals about what I am to do, who I am to talk with, and how I go about it all.
I love it. So good.
So it's super fun. And I hope you guys
your book.
all create amazing habits. And it's not just habits of, because a lot of times we think about habits as like morning routine and running and health stuff and drinking water. And this is also like habits of your brain. Like, you consistently beat yourself up. You consistently don't show up in a confident way. You consistently are frustrated with your kids. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this works with those.
Yeah, it's like more like ways of being.
Ways of being.
Yeah. Love it.
So there you go.
Oh my God, I love it. Tyson, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and taking me through it and allowing everyone else to experience it too, so they can apply it to themselves. And anyone who's listening who applies it, I'm sure Tyson would want to know. I definitely want to know, if you take this and apply it, we want to know what changes you make. You can let me know and I'll let Tyson know, or you can just reach out right to Tyson. Actually, if someone's listening right now, Tyson, and they're interested in learning more about your work, where would they find you?
Yeah, so I would tell them to go to inherentidentity.com, where they can actually get a worksheet and a video that takes them through this process. So if you need a clarifier, you want a worksheet to go with it, just like go there, get the worksheet, do the process, and then you'll receive an email where you can reach out to me from there, as well as Tyson Bradley Coaching on Instagram. You could reach out to me there too. So
perfect. Well, I'll make sure that it's in the show notes. So if anyone's listening and they want that, you will have it. I'm a big fan of worksheets.
Oh, good.
I'm a worksheet whore. All of my modules have all these worksheets attached to them, and all my clients sometimes like, do I have to do all of these? I'm like, no, I mean, some people like worksheets and like that stuff, and some people don't.
Right.
It's like Netflix. Pick what you want.
Yeah, pick what you want.
Pick what you want.
Make it work.
Well, Tyson, thank you so much again for being on the show. today and for sharing all of this with us. Is absolutely fantastic. And I'm so excited to try it out, see what happens. I can't wait to see what I manifest in the next, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Love it. Thank you so much, Rachel.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. See you next time. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Wellness Boss. If you want to learn more about my work, come visit me at rachelbethcoaching.com. That's Rachel minus the extra A, bethcoaching.com. I hope you have the most fantastic week. Don't forget to subscribe and review and to share this podcast with all your friends. See you next week. Namaste.